Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video.
Hi everyone. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I, female 22, am in my last year of undergraduate school. I don't live in the college dorms because I share an apartment with my soon to be ex husband, Avi, 24, until this mess of a situation took place. I didn't meet Avi in college though. I met him during high school when he was in senior year and I was in junior year of high school. We hit things off on the basis of our love and interest for gaming, music, and the works. Honestly, it should have been then and there that I should have realized that he wasn't ambitious because ever since we met, all he liked to do was sit and game all day long. But being young, dumb, and naive, I just chalked it all up to him being a teen. But this behavior just got concerning, so much so that he got a terrible GPA by the time we graduated from high school. But being young and full of false hopes, I didn't know any better. In the end, he had to enroll himself into a community college in the same city as my university was in. Now, I get why he would act this way. His family is very rich. Say, the kind where he wouldn't have to work a day in his life if he gets a trust fund. But his parents weren't the type to raise a trust fund baby. I mean, they were pretty entitled, classist, and prideful of their wealth on their own, but at least they knew how important it was to work hard for the money you have. And I could see how much they tried to reach Avi. But it was of no avail because at the end of the day, this man did everything in his power to mess things up and have his parents come to rescue him. Because after all, being so caught up with their business, they had no time to fight it all, and him being the youngest in the family, he had it all. So his terrible behavior continued all throughout college, too. But one thing that changed was the fact that he had now started studying and getting good grades because he was studying something he thoroughly enjoyed. This made me think to myself that at least finally he was developing a sense of responsibility. Even if he wasn't working currently, he would at least work after he graduates from college, but nope. That was far from the case because the moment he finished college, he was back where he used to be. It was like all the responsibility and enthusiasm he had developed just faded away, and he was back to square one, becoming the same guy he was in high school. Hell, I'd even say worse. This left me dumbfounded because why would you, after everything going seemingly so perfect? Well, if it helps, I did sit him down and talk to him about this multiple times, and all he gave me back were excuses over excuses as to why he did what he did. How he was demotivated, tired, exhausted, how what he studied wasn't for him anymore, how his mental health was down, and an array of other reasons, which I believe because I was to question him. I knew I'd be gaslit. Not just by him, but his little online and offline gaming friends too, who led a similar lifestyle as him, and I honestly fell for it all because, of course, wouldn't you feel bad as well if someone calls you a horrible person for not supporting mental health, especially that of your own partner? By this time, we had been dating for almost 5 years, and so by the time I was in my last year of college, my conservative parents began pressuring me to get engaged because that was the next step after dating for so long. And what would other people say? So that's what we did. We got engaged, and honestly, expecting things to get better, they just got worse. We began arguing day and night because he wasn't ready to get a job or do anything. He just wanted to sit on his butt gaming all day, and his argument to that was the fact that since he had his parents pay for everything somehow, it was all valid. But both him and I just knew that this wasn't going to last for a long time. His parents were starting to catch up on his laziness, his excuses, and they sure did. It was just a couple of months back. His parents were starting to prepare for retirement, so they had plenty of time to look after their affairs, and one of them was Avi and his constant excuses. They invited us over for dinner once, and it was a surprise to him when they started asking questions, very obviously probing into what they knew was a lie. And they didn't take very long to come to the conclusion that he was lying. I mean, it was all on his face, and by the way he was scrambling to come up with reasons. Needless to say, a huge argument ensued, and his parents cut him off completely that moment on, financially and relationship wise. Shock would be an understatement because even though I knew this was coming, I would have never thought it would be that serious, but there it was. Still, though, Avi was set to make everyone's life miserable and not get a job. Just as I was getting on the verge to break up with him, though, he pulled this. You see, I recently got my inheritance from my grandparents. It's not a ton of money, but it is enough to put me through medical school, which had been my dream since as long as I remember. So I had my parents transfer it to me in my bank account. The very same day itself, Avi sits me down to talk to me about stuff and tells me about how he wants to go back to college to pursue his master's, yada yada, and how he was hoping that I could help him with some money to pay for his course. Obviously, I denied immediately explaining the reasons and why, and the very next day took out the cash I had in my account and hid it somewhere safe because I kind of felt like he knew my account details or could easily find out. Big mistake. The very next day, I wanted some cash to buy a couple of textbooks, and as I went to my safe spot to look for it, there was nothing. I began shaking and panicking, trying to look for the money anywhere, but it was of no avail until I heard the doorbell ring and I opened it to a delivery agent standing outside with huge boxes. I immediately knew what was happening, and it was confirmed to me when Avi came by the door and he had a scared look on his face. I immediately called the cops and told them I wanted to file a report for theft. The cops showed up soon after, and I explained to them the entire situation. It was pretty obvious Avi was behind all of this because of the way he was acting. Cops took him to the police station along with them. I followed them soon after to file a report and give my side of the story. It didn't take long for this situation to reach my in laws, who started blowing up my phone like crazy for not bringing this situation to them before calling the cops. Now, I can't help but question myself. AITA? I decided to meet up with one of my ex's brothers, who seemed like one of the only rational people that I could go speak to in this situation. The others have been just swearing at me, calling me a villain because apparently I was wrong for not giving him a chance because everyone makes mistakes, apparently. Well, I have just avoided all the messages so far, even though it's kind of heartbreaking to see everyone, even my side of the family, who sided with Avi when he's clearly in the wrong. Thankfully, that wasn't the case of Abraham, Avi's elder brother, who came to visit me with his wife. They've always been good to me and quick to shut down Avi's stupid acts. So it was a relief to my heart when they completely understood my side and informed me that this wasn't the first time he had done something like this. In fact, he had turned the story on me, telling everyone that it was me who had actually lost the money and was lying to get money out of his parents. This was obviously not true, and I showed the PC pictures to his brother and his wife. They were honestly disappointed, and I felt terrible to see them this way. They simply just thanked me, telling me that they would talk to my in laws about this. Now, I'm just hoping for the best. A couple of days had passed, and I heard dead silence from everyone, my family, his family, and the cops. It was only today that Avi's mom herself came over to our place and told me that she wanted to sit down to talk. I was quite nervous, so we started talking, and she apologized to me profusely for all the mess Avi had created. She then handed me a check for the money Avi had stolen, and God, I almost began crying because I thought I'd never see that money in a million years, especially after the harsh reactions of everyone. We continued to talk after, and she expressed her disappointment in Avi, telling me how she wished he was like his other brothers, and I made it clear to her how the only reason why Avi wasn't the way his brothers were was due to the fact that all of us had been enabling his behavior. She said she had understood that, just a little too late, but honestly, being a firm believer in the saying that it's never too late, I expressed my thoughts on how me pressing charges would only help him reevaluate his life, and I think she understood because she didn't really try to convince me to drop the charges. Hi, everyone. It's been a while since I last updated, since I last met Avi's mom. A lot of things have happened. Avi had to face jail time and also a hefty fine for the theft. This time, neither his mom nor his dad came to the rescue, all thanks to Abraham and his wife. I still visit them once in a while, especially his mom, and often get death glares from his dad. I guess he expects me to get all scared because apparently I am the one who took away his little baby, who had no sense of responsibility. I mean, I still just don't get why his dad was so mad at me for putting him in jail when he found it so convenient to cut him off for being a leech. Well, regardless, I only visit them for Avi's mom, Abraham, and his wife, and as long as they invite me with open arms, I don't mind the death glares. As for my family, they too seem to come around my decision and have indirectly apologized to me multiple times. It is still heartbreaking to see them not take accountability, so I maintain my distance. I'm just waiting for the divorce to finalize soon so that I can finally think of this as a nightmare and move on to better things. NTA. AV is horrible and deserves jail time. Whoever disagrees, your family and so on, can go get him a lawyer. LOL. Whoever disagrees, your family and so on, can go get him a lawyer. LOL. NTA, good on you for not letting him walk all over you. That's the first step of healing. Now please do yourself good and keep taking a stand for yourself. Mother-in-law, 57, female, and I, 35, male, don't have the best relationship. To be honest, I don't like her because of what she did to my husband, 36, male, her son. She disowned him when she found out he was gay and didn't talk to him for around 10 years. She only got back to her son's life 3 years ago after she reached out to him. I didn't even know her. She didn't come to our wedding either. My husband and his mom have reconciled and he has made her a part of our lives. She is a nice grandma to our kids, 5 male, 5 male, and seems like a nice person. But what I don't like is that she always criticizes the fact that I'm atheist. My husband has tried to set boundaries multiple times, but she keeps on. Not as before, but she still does. My husband is also Christian, but we have agreed that we won't talk to our kids about any religion. It's up to them when they're old enough to believe in whatever they like. Sarah, mother-in-law, likes to spend time with the kids, and we allow her because, again, she is a nice grandma. This past Sunday, she took them as usual and brought them back in the afternoon. When they came back, my kids started telling me about getting in a pool and people wearing white around them. I asked Sarah what that was, and she said that she got them baptized. I got mad at her because she knows what I think about religions and imposing them to little kids. She knows what my husband and I agreed on, and she decided to disrespect all boundaries we set and still have the nerve to tell me it's their father's religion. They'll end up following Jesus and the true faith anyway. I got even madder and told her that she isn't any longer allowed to spend time alone with my kids or take them to her house. I also told her to get her nose out of the way my husband and I educate our kids. She started crying, calling me an AH who wants to destroy the bond she has with my kids, and also told me I was overreacting. Her husband says I'm a TA for being too rude on her. My mom says I was too rude and the baptism wasn't a big deal. My husband says that he understands that she overstepped but thinks I went too hard on her and is also sad I banned her from taking the kids home. Some other people say I'm a TA and that I'm overreacting. But guys, seriously? I mean, this woman disrespected our wishes and underestimated the way we raise our kids, and even told me she knows better. I mean, I have no problem if my kids decide to be religious in the future, but I want it to be their choice. I mean, is this even allowed? Do churches allow kids to get baptized without their parents' approval? NTA ever. I'm shocked that all these family members think it's okay for someone to arrange a baptism and take children without their parents' permission or knowledge. You and your SO really need to be on the same page about this. He really needs to be firm with his mother that this was not acceptable. She shouldn't have unsupervised time with them. NTA, I am a Christian and this is not okay. You do not get to force your religious beliefs on someone else. That is wrong. Pushy, judgmental, overstepping Christians give other Christians a bad reputation. I think you should love and respect everyone. I am truly sorry she did this to you and your husband. I am truly sorry. In my opinion, the church should have reached out to you or your husband to verify that it was okay to perform a baptism on two small children. It is not okay for any faith to induct minor children without the parents' consent. Your mother-in-law used her faith to disown her son. She's forcing said faith into your children even though she knows how you feel. You are TA, and she should not be trusted with your children. I would talk to a lawyer to see if this church can be held liable for holding a baptism on minor children without a legal guardian's consent. I am again sorry that your mother-in-law and the church did this to you, your husband, and your children. This is not okay by any means. No one has the right to force their religion onto someone else, especially a child. My wife, 32, has been a stay-at-home mom for our kids, 4 female, 2 male, for about 3 years now. She gave up a successful specialty nursing career to be home. I've been working from home since COVID, and 6 months ago, I took a job which doubled my salary, 130,000 to 255,000. I was clear that this would require more work than my last job, not outrageously so. Still, about 40 hours with some travel and occasional after-hours meetings. I took the job, and in that 6 months has allowed our family to move to a larger home in a better neighborhood, have a reliable cleaner, landscaper, etc. I've arranged my work schedule to be 8 till 4 p.m., eating lunch at my desk. I don't mind at all, so I can be off earlier to be with the kids. Occasionally, I'm starting to travel for 1 or 2 night trips every few weeks. Tonight, there was a small dinner, happy hour, which is a 30-minute drive away for 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I told her the event was a happy hour from 4 to 6. A few people were late, so didn't really start until 4:45 p.m., and I made the decision, keeping her informed, that I would be later, leaving at 6:30ish and getting home at 7:15 p.m. She got mildly upset over text that it was unfair, but I made the decision to stay. She's upset because a trend with her for these events is wanting me to set a time and leave at that time. Have the balls to say I have to go and leave. Fairly strictly, since the event isn't required. My opinion is going to these events are valuable, especially new to a company, and the reality of the situation is dynamic. It could go over by an hour. Not hitting the bars all night on a whim with coworkers, that's unreasonable. But the dinner, whatever, could go longer, and the better choice is to take advantage of those rare networking opportunities. AITA for wanting to stay later at a work dinner at a new job that is going later than expected when my stay-at-home wife is home with the kids. NAH. I can see both sides. Socializing and networking is essential in work environments, even more in a new one. But homeowning and child rearing are 24/7 jobs that should be fairly distributed between couples, meaning both must have downtimes from it. What is suggested is every time you must attend such events, you should compensate with some dad alone time. Actually, mom deserves some time for herself. Also, your kids are in ages when a sitter can be easily used, so mom can go out with dad. Okay, we're talking about you coming home about a couple of hours later than usual. But I don't think this is the main problem. Does your wife have some time to herself? Can she unwind and socialize? I think the point is in these questions and the answers in the last paragraph. This is tough. I used to be in your wife's position, and let me tell you that spending nonstop time with children that age, even when you love them more than anything, is as close as you can get to completely losing yourself and your identity. They require a mind numbing amount of constant attention. So, while every point you make is actually valid and the work you have put in, which includes networking, has provided a very good life, it's not really the trade off that it appears on paper. Your wife needs time by herself, alone with you, and more than anything, to feel appreciated and like a human woman whose entire identity and purpose isn't thanklessly raising tiny humans. So technically, NAH. But please tell your wife you appreciate her and book her a spa treatment. You can afford it and it will go a long way.